Want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this. Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who are retarded. I watched the evolution of both these guys. This didn't happen overnight. In 2022, before he owned Twitter, Elon tweeted this chart depicting how he felt about the liberal side having shifted so much that it left a basically liberal centrist like him now labeled a conservative. I related. I related to the kind of mean girl shit you get from the cool kids in Wokeville when you're perceived that way. They tried real hard to cancel Rogan a few years ago. And when Elon hosted Saturday Night Live in 2021, well before he was a Trumper, some of the cast members gave him the cold shoulder for the sin of being rich. You think people don't remember when you do this shit to them? That it's not going to have blowback?
Bill Maher has been warning his side for years, but now it feels different. It's no longer just frustration, but exhaustion. From Maher's perspective, the left didn't just lose its way. It let extreme voices take control and was shocked by the backlash. He even predicted that Kamala Harris might lose due to the party's submission to its woke fringe. As that prediction started to look accurate, you'd think the lesson would be learned, but it wasn't. The party doubled down. The question now isn't whether Maher is angry. That's obvious. It's whether he's ready to walk away. So, if you enjoy no-nonsense political commentary, hit subscribe and let's dive in.
What good is liberalism if you don't win elections? Last week, Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton said, "I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Yes, there's the problem in a nutshell. Because Congressman Moulton sounds reasonable to me, but his campaign manager immediately resigned in protest. Let me make this as plain as I can to the smart people. The campaign manager who resigned, yeah, let that person go.
Maher's issue with the modern left boils down to one thing. The activist fringe now dominates the conversation. This didn't happen overnight. For years, a vocal online faction has shaped the tone, messaging, and priorities of the party. Maher has often highlighted how fringe ideas moved from slogans to mainstream policies, from rebranded language to a deeper obsession with identity. Politics. In his view, this hasn't strengthened Democrats but weakened them. While activists cheered online, regular voters saw a party drifting away from common sense and reality. And once voters feel that disconnect, backlash is inevitable.
Try making too woke be a cancelable offense. It's important for America to have a center-left party, and for that party to be competitive. And a good first step toward that goal would be to make the voters not want to punch you in the face. I will conclude by saying the reason I'm so mad at the Democrats is because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it.
Thus, this is at the heart of Maher's frustration. He believes the party he once supported has lost focus on the issues that matter to people's everyday lives: economy, public safety, cost of living. Instead, Maher argues that party leaders became too cautious and too afraid of angering online activists. This shift in focus turned conversations away from practical governance and into battles over language, ideological signaling, and social media-driven outrage. Maher sees this as a troubling sign, as it suggests leadership is now shaped by fear of the woke mob rather than reality.
We're too early to strategize. Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast. Okay, maybe. Or you could consider this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. He smokes pot on the air. I don't think he's that much of a far-right ideologue.
Story goes deeper. Maher isn't just talking about messaging or policy drift. He's pointing to something bigger. The left is losing voices it used to rely on. He keeps mentioning Joe Rogan, not because Rogan was a perfect ally, but because he represented a broader, independent, and unpredictable figure the left once embraced. Now, the space for such voices is shrinking. What was once a broad coalition now feels more like a purity test. When a movement starts policing every disagreement, people drift away. Allies pull back. And when even longtime supporters stop defending you, that's not growth, it's damage control.
You lost everything. House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court, and left us completely unprotected and ready to be violated.
For Maher, the issue is simple. The left stopped representing ordinary people and started chasing fashionable ideological goals that don't translate well in the real world. As those goals shaped policy, the consequences became hard to ignore. Maher criticized the growing trend of prioritizing identity over merit, symbolism over competence, and optics over performance. He pointed to debates about diversity mandates and leadership choices driven more by representation than proven ability. This approach, in Maher's view, doesn't build trust, it erodes it. When voters feel institutions care more about appearances than results, resentment builds fast.
I watched the evolution of both these guys. This didn't happen overnight. In 2022, before he owned Twitter, Elon tweeted this chart depicting how he felt about the liberal side having shifted so much that it left a basically liberal centrist like him now labeled a conservative. I related. I related to the kind of mean girl shit you get from the cool kids in Wokeville when you're perceived that way. They tried real hard to cancel Rogan a few years ago. And when Elon hosted Saturday Night Live in 2021, well before he was a Trumper, some of the cast members gave him the cold shoulder for the sin of being rich. You think people don't remember when you do this shit to them? That it's not going to have blowback?
Maher believes the political consequences are impossible to ignore. He argues that Democrats stopped focusing on governing and became too fixated on reshaping culture in their own image. Instead of solving problems, they got caught up in symbolic battles and social agendas that many voters neither wanted nor understood. The result was predictable, not just criticism or frustration, but backlash, both electoral and cultural. Voters felt ignored, talked down to, and exhausted by the constant ideological pressure. The damage, Maher argues, didn't stop at the ballot box. It's also hurting the party's credibility and cultural influence. A party losing both persuadable voters and longtime supporters isn't in a temporary slump. It's facing a crisis of identity.
Cheryl Hines, who Larry David was quoted as describing as the best person I've ever met, the one person in Hollywood who doesn't have a single enemy. Well, now she does. Because she didn't throw her husband under the bus when her husband made a decision about something which she's made plain she disagrees with, but that didn't satisfy the obnoxious posers on the aforementioned far left. Thousands tweet screamed at Cheryl things like, "How do you live with yourself? Do better. I can't even enjoy the episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm with you in them anymore. It's no wonder Larry divorced you." Yeah, that's a character on TV, but okay.
Maher has experienced this shift himself. Once he began openly pushing back against woke orthodoxy, the mood changed. Support faded, and the message became clear: fall in line or become a problem. He points to Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and others who faced deplatforming and backlash for challenging approved narratives. Whether you agree with all of his examples or not, Maher's larger point is undeniable. The modern left increasingly punishes dissent instead of engaging in debate. And when that becomes the norm, open discussion dies.
If you want to win my vote, don't give me the ick. You know what the ick is, right? It's a term mostly used in the dating world to describe that moment when one of the people, usually the man, does something so icky that the woman cannot forgive it or forget it. Like sending a pic or being mean to the waitress, paying for dinner with a coupon.
Maher also highlights the issue of cancel culture, not the typical criticism, but an environment where questioning the wrong slogan or challenging the wrong narrative can lead to public shaming and reputational damage. This kind of culture, he argues, leaves no room for nuance or honest disagreement. It encourages self-censorship and teaches people to stay quiet to avoid backlash. Maher sees it as a movement hollowing out liberal values, not defending them.
The tweet that got the most attention was from actor Bradley Witford, who wrote, "Hey, Cheryl Hines, way to stay silent while your lunatic husband throws his support behind the adjudicated rapist who brags about stripping women of their fundamental rights. Gutsy. Great example for the kids, profiling courage." Well, you know what I think is not gutsy? Mansplaining to a woman, but of course not to her face. How she should sacrifice her marriage. Also, you could read something on Twitter that met with your approval. You want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this. Going after the wife, even the mafia doesn't do that.
For Maher and others who share his concerns, the problem isn't just disagreement within the left. It's the scale of hostility, the reach of punishment, and how political conflict now spills into every part of life. Critics argue that once someone becomes a target, the pressure doesn't stay contained. It spreads to careers, relationships, and even families. This kind of environment doesn't strengthen a coalition. It poisons it. Thoughtful people don't stay engaged in such a climate. They leave. This is Maher's real warning. The left isn't just losing elections. It's losing its ability to handle dissent without turning everything into a war. And when that happens, more people won't stay and fight. They'll walk away.